And early in the days of breathwork taking a new rise in the 2012 years, Jessica organized on the East Coast at the Omega Institute something called the breath immersion. And at a very important time in the breathwork trajectory, she brought us together. She brought people together and made sure that the message was being heard. And so, as Do As One has continued to journey, she has continued to share and make sure people knew about the power of breathing together, not just the power of breathing consciously. These two huge powers get to be have light shed upon them, and so I am thankful for my sister Jessica for doing that. She is the co-creator of the Global Professional Breathwork Alliance. Many of you heard from Jim Morningstar earlier today about the ethics and the greatness that's been created there at the GBPA that is under the umbrella here at IBF. And so her topic today, breathing an embodied field of personal and collective love, wisdom, and presence into reality. Global Professional Breathworker Alliance founding director and ethics chair. Jessica is the author of the newly published Breathwork and Psychotherapy. We celebrate her new book, Clinical Applications for Healing and Transformation. Through exploring pathways for physical and psychological health and development, awakened consciousness, and living from love, Jessica develops curricula for healing, transformation, and awakening that center conscious breathing. With no further ado, let us welcome Jessica to the space and to the stage. Thank you, sister.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother Ravi. It is a joy and an honor to be here. It's a joy and an honor to be with each one of you, whether I've ever met you in person or online in the visible, or whether we just know one another, because we actually do know one another. We are all wired from birth to love and to breathe. These are the two most compelling drives that happen at the moment of birth. Physiologically, the drive is to breathe. Emotionally, the drive is to connect. We will love our parents, even when they cannot love us fully, even if their own internal states prevent them from being able to express or attune, or even if, heaven forbid, in their wounding, they in some way neglect, reject, or harm us. We will still be driven to love because it is our nature. It is our nature to connect. And we will be driven to breathe or to be breathed, because that is the physiological connection of the creative life force saying to us, live, live, live. Now, the implications of that twinned immediacy, of breathing and loving, I think that we do metaphorically understand it. And I think that sometimes we even physiologically experience it. And yet, I would say that even the breathwork movement, even the breathwork field, we are at the stage of infancy of understanding the full ramifications and implications of that. If we lived in a breathing-centered world, if literally from the first breath to the last breath, every breath was surrounded with wisdom and people breathing and people understanding that breathing and love are at the neural substrate of everything else that we will ever experience and ever be, and we lived from that presence, we would move to a new octave, a new level of consciousness. And we know, every single one of us here knows, that it is imperative now for the human species, for our own sake and for the sake of all species and all life, to make some kind of a quantum shift. So the potential of us getting the power that we are wired at this neural substrate to love and to breathe is imperative. So in 2020, my experience, I believe, I had the experience of knowing that the shadow of humanity, since our inheritance and our promise is to be able to breathe and to love, that is who we actually are. We can move from a culture of fear and personality to a culture of love and creativity. Then the shadow of that is breathlessness. And I believe that we experienced in 2020 what the spiritual teacher Gurdjieff would call a shock point, where there was a moving to a new octave, which we now have to live into consciously to move to even a next level octave. And the shock point that we experienced was 3 waves of breathlessness. First were the fires that started in Australia, where 1 billion animals were killed towards the end of 2019, and then in 2020 erupted in Europe, and then in the Western United States, where creatures, animals, human and non-human, died, were suffocated, and had the experience of not being able to breathe. Then COVID, and how many people sat there in hospitals, healthcare workers, and people, family members and loved ones on Zoom calls that couldn't even be with their loved ones in the hospital, praying that every breath would keep coming, that there would be a next breath and a next breath, and somehow that person would be able to breathe enough that they would recover and live. We all became aware of how precious every breath is. And the third shock wave was the moment when a beautiful teenage girl had the courage not only to videotape, but to post on the web, on the internet, in social media, George Floyd saying over and over again, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe." And those words were heard like a shot around the world, reinvigorating awareness of racial injustice, of marginalization, of othering that we do in the human species based on race, gender, religion, language, socioeconomic status, political orientation, sexual orientation, every kind of othering that we can think of. I think the words "I can't breathe" hit us at a visceral level because we all know what that would feel like, and that the life would be snuffed out of us. And those words that he spoke were spoken for the millions of people throughout history that for one reason or another were cheated, their right to breathe was stolen from them because of the dis-ease of hatred and marginalization and othering. So those 3 waves of breathlessness ran through our ecosystem and our world and our collective unconscious in 2020 and made us more aware of the power of breathing. And breath work went to a new level, more in the public sphere. And now, my friends, it is time to go to even a next level, a new octave, where we make even more conscious breathing. So we're going to begin and end this session by hearing the words. We're first going to hear the words. Then we're going to do a breathing of the Universal Breathing Declaration. Then we're going to do a practice that awakens our somatic, emotional, cognitive, and spiritual capacities to align with this breathing declaration. And then when we hear it for the last time, we will see the beautiful website that has been launched on March 22nd, where you will have the opportunity to sign it, to commit to it if it's something that you want to commit to, about helping to bring into the world this level of consciousness. Now, I want to say that this is also, Robbie calls me his sister, I call him my brother. This website is the sister website of the beautiful website that Robbie has created, the Do As One. which I have loved since 2013 when I first met him when we did the Omega conferences. And I knew the power of that vision of 1 billion people or more breathing together synchronously. So that website is the actual mechanism that could allow people to be guided in their breathing. The Universal Breathing Declaration is the spirit that allows and supports every person that they have the right to be able to do that. They should be able to breathe freely, safely, well. And we need to cultivate a planet that can make that happen. So I invite you now not to take a deep breath, because I think that actually, with all due respect, I've probably used that phrase 10,000 times myself as a breath worker, and I don't use it anymore. I say, let us become aware that we are being breathed, because taking a deep breath is still a separate person breathing for an agenda, however beautiful that agenda may be. But getting that we are being breathed helps us remember that we are also being loved, that there's also a deeper connection, and it gets us out of separation consciousness. So I invite you right now to allow yourself to experience how, without any effort on your part, any conscious effort, you are being breathed. And that if you will receive that truth, you will find that you get breathed deeper, that your body says more yes to being breathed, your heart says more yes to being breathed, and your mind. So let us be breathed right now as we listen to the Universal Breathing Declaration for the first time. Breathing is life. Being grateful for our own breathing, we support the essential right of all people to breathe safely and well. We believe in co-creating a world in which all people, breathers, have the freedom to breathe and share healthy air. We commit to collectively explore and support healthy breathing for all, so that individuals, families, communities, and our collective life can thrive, and we can share our gifts with one another. The world itself breathes as everything participates in the oxygen cycle. Being conscious and reverent about our shared breathing, we move from separateness to community, to interconnection, wholeness, and love. We acknowledge the responsibility to care for the sustainability, health, and beauty of our planet. We honor and support all people's breathing, including their first and last breaths. We support clean, healthy air in every space on Earth. We support beneficial treatment and compassionate care for respiratory challenges and all illnesses. We dedicate ourselves to removing barriers to safe, optimal breathing and ending the suffering due to ecological imbalance, violence, war, marginalization, economic deprivation, or injustice. We dedicate ourselves to the well-being of our ecosystems and to all that breathe within them, the humans, other animals, plant life, and all beings. Remembering this, we will take time to consciously breathe every day with gratitude and recall our commitment to respect and support the right of all to breathe safely, freely, and well. May we benefit from the power of our individual and collective breathing and care for this breathing earth, we can breathe the world. So, my beautiful friends, I invite us as love activists, as breathing activists, to realize that not only are we being breathed, but everything is being breathed. Humans, all animals, the mushrooms, the mycelium, trees are participating in the oxygen cycle. The earth has oxygen, the waters have oxygen, the air has oxygen, the fires and the heat sources of the world have oxygen. Everything is participating in the oxygen cycle. Everything is breathing. And therefore, as is said in the Bodhisattva tradition, until all can breathe safely and well, none of us can breathe fully well, because there is only one breath. So let us do this short practice to awaken the unified field of our somatic, emotional, cognitive self and energy, and then recognize that also the oneness with all life and one breath is absolutely pivotal for us to make the next level jump, the next octave into a world of love and creativity. So let us receive our breathing, be breathed, and let us open to the aspect of breathing that reflects the physiological body, the abdomen and pelvis, our somatic intelligence, sensation, and earth. And as Io said, relax and let the belly breathe. Relax and let the body breathe. Let the diaphragm move in its maximal way. Recognize the sensations, the wisdom of the sensations of your body. Recognize the physical energy building, the life force. As we continue to receive breathing, as we continue to be breathed, let us open to the aspect of breathing that reflects our heart center, our emotional intelligence, feeling, and water. Each exhalation, we allow the softening of our chest. Each inhalation, we accept and hold the needs of our heart to love, to be set free. Every exhalation, we feel the connection with every heart and its need to be loved, to be unconditional love. As we continue to receive our breathing, to being breathed, let us open to the aspect of breathing that reflects the head center, cognitive intelligence, thinking, and air. We can bring attention to the center of our head, to the brilliance of the pineal gland and the pituitary gland, where there is awareness and vision and guidance. Let us become aware of that awareness, dissolving dullness and cloudiness in our thinking, empowering our capacity to envision not only for our own sake, but for the sake of the one breath and for all. And as we continue to be breathed, let us open to the aspect of the breathing that reflects soul, energy, intuition, and fire. Everything exists in a seamless flow of energy, and we can be aware that this energy is flowing through us and through everything. It may even, if we get close enough to it, feel and taste like nectar. It lifts us up. It reminds us of the infinite nature of every cell of our body. And as we continue to be breathed, to recognize that we are being breathed, let us open to the aspect of breathing that reflects spirit in form, in essence in action, creative human life actualized, conscious embodied action, alchemical gold, and quintessence. Only when we live our life with each breath, not only nourishing the unified potential within each one of us, but nourishing the unified potential in all, will we be fully liberated to breathe well. And so I invite you, my friends, now I will share my screen, and I invite us to hear the universal breathing declaration while we're actually looking at the website here that has a beautiful visual depiction of what is being invited. And then I will show you how you can sign it if it speaks to you. Breathing is life. Being grateful for our own breathing, we support the essential right of all people to breathe safely and well. We believe in co-creating a world in which all people, breathers, have the freedom to breathe and share healthy air. We commit to collectively explore and support healthy breathing for all, so that individuals, families, communities, and our collective life can thrive, and we can share our gifts with one another. The world itself breathes as everything participates in the oxygen cycle. Being conscious and reverent about our shared breathing, we move from separateness to community to interconnection, wholeness, and love. We acknowledge the responsibility to care for the sustainability, health, and beauty of our planet. We honor and support all people's breathing, including their first and last breaths. We support clean, healthy air in every space on Earth, and we support beneficial treatment and compassionate care for respiratory challenges and all illnesses. We dedicate ourselves to removing barriers to safe, optimal breathing and ending the suffering due to ecological imbalance, violence, war, marginalization, economic deprivation, or injustice. We dedicate ourselves to the well-being of our ecosystems and to all that breathe within them, the humans, other animals, plant life, and all beings. Remembering this, we will take time to consciously breathe every day with gratitude and our commitment to respect and support the right of all to breathe safely, freely, and well. May we benefit from the power of our individual and collective breathing and care for this breathing earth. We can breathe the world. And so, beautiful friends, this is the Universal Breathing Declaration website, where this video plays without music because it's the sound of our breath that is the most powerful sound. The sound of our own breathing is the most regulating sound for each of us individually, and the sound of another person's breathing attuned with ours is the most powerful sound relationally. So when you go to the website, which is universalbreathingdeclaration.earth, you will see this video, and it is followed, as you can see, by the declaration itself. And then you come down here to a place that you click, that you can sign the declaration. And as you can see, your name will be added. These are the first 160 people that have signed the declaration. Rabi is on here. He signed early. And I will say that right before I turned in the final edits to the declaration before it was published in the book, I called Jack Cornfield, who had been very supportive of the breathing movement and everything that I was doing that Rabi was a part of too, and asked him if he would partner with me to edit the final edits, and he did. And that is why he is, after me, as you will see, the second signer of the declaration. So, my beautiful friends, I really appreciate you being here with all of us. I will put that URL for that website in the chat right now. I invite you to sign it, and I invite you to remember that none of us will be able to breathe fully, not really, until all of us can breathe fully, until everybody has the right to breathe safely, freely, and well. And I thank you with profound gratitude for your caring about breathing and being here today. I thank my brother, Rabi, and the Do As One initiative as well, the sister website, brother website. And I ask that whatever insights and realizations we have had here today in this time together benefit not only us, but benefit all of existence, all of life, everywhere. And with that, I will put the breathing declaration into our chat, and I thank you for your time.
Woo, I've got to just give a round of applause right there from the entire breathwork field to my sister. Wow. And I've already read and obviously agreed to it, and to read it and to hear it again yet afresh. I must say that what you've done with this oratory, with this prose, is to make the breath matter more. To me, that's what it boils down to, is all us breath workers have been walking around the world attempting to make the breath matter more.
Mm-hmm.
And your words, your sentiment, and your heart have filled up a declaration so that all of us can say that, can speak those words to make the breath matter more. We are in a world that is being challenged by so much separation, in addition to what's in our skies and in our air. And so it is important now for all of us to take a stand for our clean air, for the ability for everyone to have this. And so feeling super touched. And I will say to you, I have stood on the floor of the United Nations and I've heard a woman tear up and say, how are we going to do it? How are we going to equalize these nations that some of them feel so ego, and they won't even discuss with these nations over here? I raised my hand. I said, the breath is the equalizer.
Mm-hmm.
The breath is the great equalizer. And funny is, I end up reading that in your book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I'd said years ago on the floor of the UN. This language that breath workers have been seeking to wrap their heads around so we can make the breath matter more is here. And so I move for the United Nations group at the IBF. I don't know if all of you know, but we have consultative status at the UN. That means that if you go to any of the UN offices, they got to at least sit down and listen to us. And so, yeah, I think it would be amazing for this to be spoken in that realm and continue to be.